Hello, Heralds, and welcome to The Harbinger. I'm your host, PvZ, The Harbinger, here today to talk about why, in my totally non-biased opinion, Paladins is the best hero shooter, and it's not even close. Oh my god, he says title the video in the video roll credits. But seriously, I think that Paladins is the best hero shooter on the market, and to prove that, I'm going to be taking a look at two other hero shooters that are currently the biggest. The overall biggest and most popular being Overwatch, and the second biggest and most popular currently is Marvel Rivals. And I know before anyone says anything, Tier 2 is the first hero shooter. Why aren't you including that? To me, Tier 2 isn't really a hero shooter like Marvel Rivals, Overwatch, and Paladins. They're not as similar to each other. Sure, they're characters and they do different things, but Paladins, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals are characters with abilities. You press a button, they do something. With TF2, it's not the same. They're not really using abilities. They can do different things, but it's not push a button and they do something, and then another different character pushes a button and then they do something. It's not the same, you know. So to compare Paladins to the other competitors, I'm going to be looking at three main parts of the game. The first being the characters, the second being the mechanics, and the third being the game modes. First off, uh, Paladins has 59 characters. Overwatch has 35, and Marvel Rivals has 33 apparently. That's what I'm being told. I googled it. I wrote this a few months ago, and it was 33, and it's still 33, even though four more characters have been added. But I don't know the number. 43, 43. 33 or 37, one of those. But the number of characters alone doesn't really mean anything. If we were looking at that, then League of Legends would be the best game ever. But the number of characters just proves that the game is more diverse in terms of different gameplay. You can play multiple games in a row, and you can just get different characters in each game. It doesn't feel like the same thing over and over and over again. That's something that I felt with Overwatch, and something that I kind of feel with Marvel Rivals. When one character, especially if that character is good, you're just gonna see that over and over and over again. It's gonna be the same thing, and it's annoying. So Paladins having more characters makes it feel more different. The characters in Paladins also have more even distribution of abilities. Every character has at least 4 abilities with one ult, compared to Overwatch and Marvel Rivals, where some characters have 12 abilities, some only have one, some have 7 passives, while others get none. And I don't like that. It makes them feel unbalanced. Not in the this character's way too overpowered kind of unbalanced, but it just makes some characters feel empty compared to other characters. One example for Marvel Rivals is Squirrel Girl. She has 2 abilities plus her primary fire, so 3 in all together, and then an extra one that, okay, technically she has 3 abilities, but it kind of only feels like she has 2. And then there's Moon Knight, who has like at least 7. He has his primary fire, alternate fire, an extra, he has an Onk, and he also has a grapple and a glide. That's 5 things plus an ult, compared to Squirrel Girl, who has like 3. And I mean, I feel like they could get more. Like they could easily add more to each character. I don't know. And then Overwatch, I mean, it's not even worth mentioning. I think Mick, what's his name? Mick. I don't even remember his name. That's a problem that I'm gonna talk about in a minute. Mick, I don't know. The fucking Western guy. Oh no. Anyways, he has what? Roll, reload, grenade, shoot, compared to like other characters who have like 17 different abilities. It just feels unbalanced and it doesn't feel good. Makes some characters not worth playing. With Paladins, it feels like every character has enough, and when characters have more, it doesn't feel like they're unbalanced because the extra abilities come from their ult or they swap between those abilities, and it makes it feel a lot better. And one thing about I hate about Overwatch is that some characters are just hard counters to others, which is something I'm going to talk more about in mechanics, but it just makes the characters feel bad to play because you're only playing them to kill one other person. And like the characters overall in Overwatch just kind of feel boring. From what I understand, every character is supposed to be a hero, which just makes them all feel one-dimensional. They all feel like the exact same copy and paste hero, or hero that's misunderstood, or hero that's bad but now is good. That's just boring to me. All the heroes are just normal people or robots. I don't think there's anything else, and that's again boring. It's more sci-fi, which I don't really enjoy that much. The characters in Marvel Rivals I think are a lot better than Overwatch, but still aren't as good as Paladins. And I think that's mainly because I already know the characters. You know, you can be a mutant, a god, a normal dude, a superhero. This is a lot more diverse than Overwatch, but to me, I think Paladins just the characters are just a lot better. And Paladins, every character is different from each other. You know, some of these characters hate each other, some of these characters like each other. Some of them want the other one dead, you know. Some of them don't really care and they're in the middle. You know, you can play as a human, a god, a dwarf, a worm, a demon, an angel. It makes the game feel like it has a lot more life to it. I say that and the game's dead. I'll talk about that later, but it just feels like a different world compared to Overwatch. Just feels like a normal world. I just think that Paladins has more lore to it and just feels like a better story than Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. Also, I think the characters I should have talked about this earlier when I was talking about abilities, but the characters in Overwatch mainly just use shotguns, and I say that I say shotgun when I mean just a gun or a primary fire that shoots multiple bullets. I feel like half the roster in that game use a shotgun. I mean, Echo used a shotgun, Reaper used a shotgun, Diva used a shotgun, Junker Queen used a shotgun. And those are the only characters that I remember who use a shotgun. There are way more characters that have shotguns or shotgun adjacent weapons that I'm just forgetting about because the characters are just so forgettable. And I think that was a problem again with just diversity. Every character in Paladins at least has a different type weapon. Marvel Rivals too. I don't think there's any. There's a few people that kind of have the same weapon, but you know, Paladins. There are people with shotgun. There's like I think I can think of three: Omen, Buck, Barrack. I think those are the only three who actually use a shotgun. But they're all different from each other. Omen's shotgun starts off with a wide range and closes down. Barrack's shotgun is not really a shotgun. It could also switch between a shotgun and a single projectile fire. And then Buck's shotgun is more standard pump action shotgun. You can reload at any time. You only need to put one shell in to shoot again. All these weapons are different from each other. In Overwatch, they all felt the exact same. There was no, I didn't feel any difference. Another thing that Paladins does good is the skins, especially compared to Overwatch, where you pay $20 for the same skin but without the jacket. Meanwhile, Paladins has you pay $20 for two completely new skins with completely different models and new voice lines, and also two recolors of those skins, plus a bunch of other stuff like sprays, emotes, and chests, a whole bunch of stuff. Marvel Rivals also, they're pretty good with the skins. I feel like they could be a lot better if they had new voice lines. I don't have a need to buy any skins or really want to buy any skins. So good skins, better compared to Overwatch, not as good as Paladins. All right, next thing I want to talk about is the mechanics. So the mechanics for Overwatch just don't really exist besides PvE mode from Overwatch 1, which is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And countering, which I just kind of find stupid. If the game is I play a character and you play a character that kills my character and you win, I don't like that. That's what it feels like. You know, I'm gonna play the character that beats your character, and so you have to play the character that beats my character, and then you keep playing that. I don't like that. I want to play one character. I want to play lock in that character, play the exact same, play for the entire time. You know, that's what I do in Paladins. That's pretty much what I did in Overwatch, and pretty much what I do in Marvel Rivals. I don't like swapping characters. I don't like doing that. I just want to pick one character. I think this swapping it doesn't allow for any type of skill. I think it just I play better character, I win. I have better abilities, I win. I have thing that counters you, I win. And it's just so stupid, and I don't like it. Marvel Rivals, on the other hand, they do have more mechanics. You know, they have team abilities, which I think are fun and really cool to build a comp around. And I think it sets it apart from being Overwatch and makes it seem Overwatchy but different. Uh, there's also destructible environments, which is a mechanic that I forgot about and I actually didn't even write in my script. It's an okay mechanic. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but it's fine. You know, it adds a level of strategy to, breaking something and having better position and all that. I could live without it, but I think it's cool and it sets it apart from Overwatch. But something that both games suffer from is the lack of a passive healing. I might be wrong about Overwatch. It's been a while since I played. They might have added it, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But the non-passive healing route just sucks. I hate it. You have to rely on support 24/7. If you're not, you die, or you have to go out of your way to find a med pick, which won't heal you to full in Overwatch, and the enemy can just ambush you still and kill you because you didn't gain any health. I hate the non-passive heal packs. I hate that. You know, I've died so many times because I didn't have the healing, or if I went away after a fight, you know, and I can't get healing, my support can't go all the way to find me to heal me. I can't position myself properly because I have a lot of damage, and I just hate not having a passive heal. If you're low on health, it's so annoying, and it doesn't make the game fun for me or fun for the support. Support has to be on me 24/7. That's not fun. The support should be able to do other things, and Paladins has their healing figured out. If you're out of combat for a little while, you start to heal back your health. And there is an anti-healing, which makes it so that supports aren't too overpowered. Something that's a problem in Marvel Rivals right now is a triple support comp. You play with 3 supports, they're going to win. You're not going to die. They're not going to die at all. If you even play with just 2 supports and they're healing the enemy constantly, you're not going to be able to deal any damage to them. And it's so annoying and it's so stupid I hate it. And the anti-healing fixes this problem. It makes it so that when you take damage, you'll take less healing for a short amount of time, right? This makes it so that healers are not incredibly overpowered, but also it makes it so that the healers actually have to strategize, actually have to use their brain to figure out, okay, they just got damaged. If they retreat for a few seconds, I know exactly when I can heal them to gain the full amount of healing. The passive healing makes it so that the support doesn't actually have to work as hard to make sure everyone's getting healed, If the flank goes in, deals damage, gets damaged, they can leave, go hide behind a box, not worry. The support doesn't have to worry about, oh, I gotta go after them to go find them and to heal them like they would in Marvel Rivals or Overwatch. The flank can just stay behind a box for a few seconds and come back because they're full health. One mechanic that both Marvel Rivals and Overwatch have that I do like is the pinging system. This is something that I wish was in Paladins. It's not that big and it's not that important. I think Overwatch does the pinging system a little bit better, but I haven't played it in a while. But Marvel Rivals pinging system is kind of bad because if you hold it for just a little bit too long, you bring up the wheel and it doesn't ping the enemy. But I think the pinging system is a lot of fun, and it really helps to communicate like where enemies are or where you want your teammates to be. It's small, but it's quality of life, and it's something that I wish Paladins had. Both of these games also have a kill cam, which is kind of a mechanic, but honestly, I don't like it. I never look at the kill cam because it doesn't tell me any information that I need to know. Oh, the enemy who killed you hit you once and they don't see the other damage you took. It tells me who killed me, but I don't need to know who killed me. I don't know how much damage I took, which is exactly what Paladins has. You have a key binding and it shows you the last 3 players who did damage to you and how much damage they did, what ability they used. No, it's perfect for finding out if someone is hacking. If they shot you once and dealt a million damage, you know they're hacking. Compared to Overwatch and Marvel Rivals, they shot me once, they did a lot of damage. I'm not sure if they're supposed to deal that much damage. I'm not sure exactly how much damage they did. They could have done exactly the amount of my health. I don't know. It's just a better way of telling how you died compared to kill cam, which I find extremely useless. And that brings me to Paladins mechanics. Paladins has a bunch of smaller mechanics, the ones I've already mentioned, plus item shop, cards and talents, and mounts. The simplest is mounts, so I'll start explaining that first. In some game modes, you'll spawn on a mount which travels faster and jumps higher. It's so that you can get to the point in a more efficient way. Uh, that's about it. It's really small, but it's quality of life again. It makes it so that you can just walk to the point and have the point be farther away, so that the enemy can't just spawn kill, and it makes it so that there's actual distance between you and the point. And I think it's a lot better than what Marvel Rivals has and Overwatch, where you just have to walk all the way to point and then all the way back. Blah, blah, blah. I hate it. I don't like it. I think Mount is very simple and something that I thought Overwatch actually had. And I was surprised when I played it for the first time and it didn't. Another thing that Paladins has that I'm lumping in with mounts is the jump mechanic. Something small, something that you might not even notice. When you jump closer to an object or to a wall, you actually jump a little bit higher. This might sound stupid, but something I wish Marvel Rivals had. You know, jumping in games is kind of weird. If you make it too high, then it feels like you have no gravity. But if you make it too low, it just feels bad. And if you just make it feel like a normal jump, it also just doesn't feel very good. So Paladins has mixed normal jumps plus a longer jump. You jump normally when you're by yourself, near nothing, and you jump higher when you're near something. This makes it so that they can scale the world to be a bit bigger, actually feel bigger and actually feel like a real thing. Something that Marvel Rival does is they make little boxes on top of bigger boxes so that you have stair steps, right? And this just feels bad. You have to jump on one box and another and another just to get to a place that's a little bit higher than where you were. Paladins has it so that you just jump once and then you go. It just takes too much effort. Okay. This is, again, another small thing, but I really, really wish I really wished Marvel Rivals had this because it makes the game just feel a lot better. And it makes it so that they can scale the world a bit better. The next mechanic that Paladins has is talents. At the start of the game, you can choose one of 3 talents, and this will change the characters. Some talents might give you an extra charge on ability. One talent might make you deal extra damage, or make you go a little bit faster, or make it so that you heal more. This is something that can make the champions feel a lot different. You can play the same character 3 times in a row and it feels different, or play differently every single time, right? I play a support. I don't have to do support things. I can deal more damage. It also allows for more strategy. You know, I could pick this talent that makes me deal more damage, or I can pick this talent that makes me move a bit faster. How do I want to play it? Do I want to move all over the place, deal a little bit of damage, or not move at all and deal a lot of damage? You can play how you want to play. It's not just, here's the character, you get to play this specific way. There's also a card system, which a little hard to explain. I'll have it on screen. Each character has 16 different cards, which can be arranged in a deck of 5. Each card costs 1 point to put in your deck. You can also use a point to upgrade the cards to a maximum of 5 points of upgrades. And you have 15 points to spend. Confusing, I know, to explain. I'm showing it here on screen, so maybe you get a little bit better idea. Hopefully I have enough time to explain it and show it. And this also just adds another layer of strategy. There's also an in-game store when you're in a game, of course, which has a bunch of items. You can buy a maximum of 5 items. Items cost credits, which you get by getting kills, being on point, surviving, healing, a bunch of different ways. These items can help a lot. There's items like resilience, which reduce the effects of crowd control, something that I really, really wished Marvel Rivals had, because crowd control effects in that game suck. They suck ass. There's also other items like Bulldozer, which make you do more damage to deployables. Wrecker, which makes you deal more damage to shields. Kill to heal. Actually, it's called Bloodbath now. Bloodbath, which, when you get a kill, you heal. Life Rip, when you deal damage, you heal. Haven, you take less damage. Chronos, your ability cooldown is decreased. A lot of stuff that adds more strategy again, and it makes it so that certain elements aren't as annoying. Last thing I want to talk about is game modes. I'll start by saying is I don't remember the game modes from Overwatch 2. I know there was a payload, a robot payload, and a King of the Hill, but that's all I remember. These are fine game modes, but me not remembering is kind of a bad thing, and I guess that's the issue here. I don't remember these game modes. Next, Marvel Rivals. There's only really 3 non arcade game modes. There's a payload with a point before it, and King of the Hill. First, I like to say that I don't like payload game modes. They're boring and I hate them, and I don't like any game mode with the payload. I don't like it. And their King of the Hill game modes is just kind of bad. The teams don't actually have to stay on point to gain points to score. They capture it once until the enemy captures it, and in that time they always gain points. And the first 200 wins, and they do that for a maximum of 3 times. Whoever wins 2 times wins the overall game. I don't like it. It's just, I wish that you actually had to stay on point. I think that's how it should work. You stay on point, gain points, blah blah blah. And something that I hate about Marvel Rivals and Overwatch is overtime. This exists in every game mode in Marvel Rivals, and I'm pretty sure it existed in most game modes in Overwatch 2. I meant Overwatch as well, not Overwatch 2. Shut up. Okay, that's funny joke in a serious video. Okay. Overtime is just the dumbest thing ever invented in video games, and I'm going to talk about it in when I talk about Paladins, because one of Paladins game modes has overtime. The game mode that Paladins has is a team deathmatch, onslaught, and siege. There's a bunch of other more arcade-based game modes, but I'm not going to count those. TDM is simple. First to 40 kills wins. And onslaught's also pretty simple. There's a point. You sit on point, you gain score. First to a score of 400 wins. Getting kills also gives you a little bit of score. It's a nice balance between a point and team deathmatch. You know, if you can get 100 kills, you win. Good luck getting 100 kills, though. What I really like about this game mode is that there's no overtime, and 10 minutes means 10 minutes, and once that time passes, you win if you have the higher score. If you have a lower score, you lose. Whoever gets the higher score wins. That's how game mode should be. It shouldn't be, oh, you have the higher score, but overtime, now they have the higher score. No, you have the higher score. No, it's so stupid. In a minute, I'll rage about it in a minute. But first, last game mode, which I actually hate from Paladins, is Siege. Siege is like a point-based game mode plus a payload-based game mode combined together. Kind of confusing to explain, but what you have to do is you go to the point. When you capture point, you get a payload. Push the payload to the end, to the enemy side. Basic terms. When you capture a point, you gain a score. First person to get a score of 4 wins. Capture the point, get a score. Push it, get a score. Defend it, get a score. Sometimes you won't get a score. You can't win by defending. You can only win by capturing point or pushing, which I think is really stupid. And this game also has overtime on both pushing and defending and capturing point. So now I'm going to rant about how much I hate overtime. Overtime is the stupidest fucking thing ever invented in any game. It is so fucking dumb. Oh, I'm about to win? Nuh-uh-uh. You're about to win. What do you mean you're about to win? We're winning. Why do they get the chance to win when we're overly winning? If we're 2 seconds away from point, maybe overtime, okay? But if we're an hour away from point, we don't deserve to win. It is so utterly stupid how someone came up with this idea of overtime. It is so useless. It is so dumb. I've lost so many games because of stupid overtime, and it's so dumb. If we're winning, let us win. If we're losing, let us lose. Alright? Don't, oh, here's a chance to win. Because it makes the entire game pointless. It makes the entire game that we played pointless if they're just going to get overtime and just win. It is so dumb. It is so stupid. I hate overtime. And any game mode with overtime sucks. And that's why I think Paladins has the better game modes. Overwatch doesn't have really any. Marvel Rivals has negative game modes. And Paladins is 2 for 3. So that makes it automatically better than the other two. And these are all the reasons why I think Paladins is better than the competitors. It has the better characters, it has the better mechanics, it has the better game modes. Paladins is literally my favorite game, besides, Minecraft. But I mean, Minecraft, it's Minecraft. You gotta like Minecraft. I have hours in this game. It's my most played game, besides Minecraft, of course. If Siege wasn't the ranked game mode, I'd be number one player. I promise you that. Maybe not number one, but I'd definitely be top 300, top 200. But I think Paladins hasn't been given the love it deserves. I mean, when I wrote this script, Paladins still had dev support.
And in the time that I wrote this script and finished this recording, Paladins has lost all dev support because they all got fired, which is not their fault, but it's still something that happened.
And I'm really upset about it. And, this game, I haven't uninstalled it since I first installed it. When I got a computer, it is the first game I got. You know, this game, I've been playing this game for so long, and it's gonna die. It's gonna lose support soon. And that's just upsetting. I want more people to play it. I mean, in this, I wrote that the devs have layoffs, and they're all gone now. And there's not gonna be any more updates. The game is gonna shut down eventually, and this is something I knew would happen. This is something that happens with all games, but I just want it to last a little longer. I just want this game to get the recognition it deserves because it's better. It's better than this competition. It's better than Overwatch. It's better than Marvel Rivals, and I think it's always been looked at as a inferior game. It's looked at as, oh, look at this Overwatch clone, even though it's almost nothing like Overwatch. I mean, the games are comparable. You can compare them like I did. They're the same genre, but calling Paladins a ripoff is just stupid, and a lot of people say that. And I hate it, because it's not a ripoff. It's the upgrade. And one last thing before I end this video. I don't hate Marvel Rivals. I quite like Marvel Rivals. I wish it was more like Paladins, and I think it's a little rough around the edges and needs some polishing, and I think Overwatch can die in a ditch, and it sucks. But I have been the Harbinger. Remember to reap what you sow, and bye bye.